let's talk about the stuff we buy every day. We think a lot about the pollution from factories, but there's a secret story, a hidden climate impact that often starts the moment we bring a new product home. So let's pull back the curtain on that.
I want you to really think about this for a second. What if I told you that for a lot of things, like your car or even your AC unit, the most significant pollution they'll ever create happens while you own them? It's a huge shift in perspective, and it's the core idea we're going to unpack today.
So just how big of a problem are we talking about? Well, get a load of this number, 7 billion tons. That's the amount of greenhouse gas pollution, all the bad stuff lumped together and measured as carbon dioxide, that's currently locked away inside cooling and refrigeration equipment all over the world. And the really scary part? The source material says pretty much all of it is expected to leak into the atmosphere eventually.
And if that number wasn't staggering enough, here's some perspective. The entire global transport sector, that's every plane, train, and automobile, pumps out another 7 billion tons every single year. So yeah, this is way bigger than just our air conditioners. It's a huge systemic problem.
Okay, so what on earth do we do about this? Well, we need a really clear, really ambitious goal. And that brings us to this idea of a zero-emission standard. It's basically a new, tougher definition for what makes a product truly safe for the climate.
The goal itself is incredibly simple, but also really powerful. A company is only considered future fit if its products create zero greenhouse gas emissions. And here's the most important part, as a direct consequence of their use. That phrase is the key because it draws a really important line in the sand.
See, on one hand, you've got what we normally think about, operational emissions. The pollution coming from the factory that built the car. But this standard is laser-focused on something different, product emissions. That's the pollution that happens when you, the customer, actually use the thing. It's the gas being burned in your engine or the refrigerant slowly leaking from your AC unit over the years.
And this isn't some abstract concept. We're talking about everyday stuff. The gas-powered lawnmower in your shed, the propane tank for your weekend barbecue, even stuff like aerosol cans or those coolers that use potent refrigerants. Basically, if a product burns fossil fuels or is designed with greenhouse gases inside that can get out, it falls under this umbrella.
All right, so aiming for zero product emissions is a fantastic goal, but how does a company actually get there? You can't just flip a switch, right? It's more like a journey. So let's look at the practical steps a company can take to get on the right path.
You can think of it like a checklist. First, a company has to do an honest inventory and figure out which of its products are the problem. Then the innovation kicks in. Can we redesign it? Can we deliver that same benefit to the customer in a totally different, cleaner way? From there, they set real deadlines to phase out the old stuff. And maybe most importantly, they have to work with others, because a lot of these challenges are too big for any one company to solve alone.
Now, this is the part that I think is crucial. This is what prevents this all from being just a bunch of nice-sounding corporate promises. To be legit, you need a clear, objective way to measure if a company is actually making progress. It's all about accountability.
And the metric is kind of brilliant because it's so simple. Just follow the money. A company's progress score is simply the percentage of its total sales that come from products that are 100% emission-free during their use. No complicated formulas, just a direct link between their business and their impact.
To make this super clear, let's use the simple example from the source material. Let's imagine a company called Acme Inc. They've got a lemonade stand, but they also have a little side hustle selling some not-so-great coolers.
So, as you can see, Acme's main business is lemonade, which is totally fit. No emissions when you drink it. But then they've got this other revenue stream from coolers that use old-school polluting refrigerants. And even though it's just a small slice of their business, that's where the problem lies.
So when you do the math based on their revenue, Acme scores 91% future fit. Hey, that's pretty good, but it's not perfect. That last 9% of their income from those polluting coolers is what's holding them back from getting a perfect 100.
But then, Acme gets smart. They don't have to scrap the whole product line overnight. Instead, they make a strategic move. They find out that some of their sales regions have programs to safely capture and destroy the refrigerants at the end of the cooler's life. So they decide to sell half of their coolers only in those areas.
And look what happens. Just by making that one change, Acme's score jumps up to 94%.
This isn't just a number going up on a spreadsheet. It's a clear signal to their investors, their customers, everyone, that the actions they're taking are having a real, measurable effect. They're moving in the right direction.
But here's where it gets really powerful. The source calls this a context indicator. While Acme's score only went up by 3 percentage points, look at the real-world impact. The total lifetime pollution from the products they sold that year dropped by a massive 25,000 tons. This is so important because it shows that even a seemingly small improvement in the score can represent a huge win for the climate.
So, after all that, why does this really matter? This whole system isn't just about creating another report card for big companies. It's about something much bigger. It's about fundamentally rewiring how we think about corporate responsibility and connecting it to our planet's biggest challenges.
And here's how we connect the dots. A standard like this isn't operating in a vacuum. It directly plugs into huge global efforts, like the UN Sustainable Development Goal for climate action. It takes a massive, overwhelming global goal and translates it into something a company can actually do, measure, and improve upon.
This quote from the source material really nails why the goal has to be absolute zero. Why not just, less pollution? Because trying to argue over who gets to use up the last little bit of our planet's carbon budget would be, as it says here, too complex, contentious, and time-consuming. We just don't have time for that. The crisis demands a simple, urgent, and absolute goal. Get to zero.
When you boil it all down, this is really about a radical push for transparency. It's about completely redefining our idea of what makes a product good. It's no longer just about price or features. It's about its entire impact on the planet, from the factory to your home and beyond.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Just imagine walking into a store and every single product on the shelf had a simple label showing you its lifetime climate cost, just like a food label shows your calories. How would that change the way you shop? How would it change the products companies decide to make? Thanks for joining this explainer.